Amen.
Atem nitzavim hayom kulchem. We're reading, this is one of the chapters from the book Likuti Torah, written by the first Rebbe of Chabad. There were 7 Rebbes of Chabad. The first one was in about 250 years ago, called Shner Zalman. He also wrote a book called the Tanya, and he also wrote another book called the Shulchan Aruch, which the Tanya explains what a Jew is supposed to do emotionally and with his mind and his especially emotional to serve the Creator. And the Shulchan Aruch explains what he's supposed to do with his body in order to serve the Creator, what you're supposed to do and say, commandments. And this is explaining the ideas of the Tanya. The Tanya, how to serve God emotionally, completely, have fear of God, love of God. The main purpose is to bring Mashiach. When Mashiach is going to be a person that's going to educate the whole entire world to appreciate God, to turn to the Creator of the universe that's creating everybody right now, and to do what he says. That same God gave the Jews the Torah. Okay, so we're nearing the end of the reading of the 5 books of Moses, which with that we end in Simchat Torah, and Simchat Torah, we finish reading the Torah. So we're just like, 4 chapters before the end. So here we go. Atem nitzavim hayom kulchem. This is Parshas Nitzavim. It's separated. This year it's separated. Nitzavim v'yelech are sometimes read together, and now they're read separate, even though they're very short Torah portions. Atem nitzavim. Now this is Moses speaking to the Jewish people just before the whole book of Deuteronomy is that. But now we're really getting toward the end, the finale, and Moses is speaking to the Jewish people. The Jewish people are going to enter the land of Israel without Moses. And Moses is giving them the last directions before the Jewish people leave him. Actually, he leaves them first. He passes away. Moses. Even though it says in the Talmud that Moses didn't really die. Moses is still serving the Jewish people just like before. Moshe Lomet. In any case, before Moses leaves the Jewish people, and the Jewish people leave Moses, so he's giving them the last minute instructions. And here it is. Atem nitzavim hayom kulchem. You are all standing today. And it lists 10 different types of Jews. Right? Roshechem, Shopteshechem, Shalvemecha, the highest and the highest, most intellectual, and the simplest of the Jews, they're all standing together. Here in Parshas Zud, this Torah portion we're always reading before Rosh Hashanah. And this is hinted at, how do you know before Rosh Hashanah? The word Hayom. Hayom today can refer to either the Torah should always be new in our eyes like it was given today, or Hayom is a reference to Rosh Hashanah. That's the big day. Shekaya Rosh Hashanah, it refers to Rosh Hashanah ki zeh yom techilat masecha, because there's a sentence in Psalms that says this is the day of the beginning of your deeds. When did God begin his deeds? On Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah was the completion of the world. The sixth day of creation, when God completed the whole world, he created man. Last thing to be created, except there's some weird things that were created after man, but generally man is the last thing to be created. Zikaron liyom rishon, and this is the day that God really began the whole world, when man was created, and it's a remembrance for the first day. Shakol nitzutze neshamos, that all the sparks of all the souls in nitzavim are standing mitalim, and they elevate. Atem nitzavim. What it means? They stand up, and they elevate the makomam rishon from their first place. Bayom zeh, on this day, on the day of Rosh Hashanah. It's a little bigger here. Oh, there we go. That's better. They elevate from their original place on Rosh Hashanah. Ivnei Hashem Elokechem Roshim Tishirtechem Mechute Veitzecha Ad Shoevemecha from the Roshechem Shiftechem, I'm sorry, from the heads of the tribe until just the wood choppers and the water drawers, including all the whole, what do you say, gamut of Jews, the whole rainbow. There are 10 levels, shekamo, just like sheish eser madregos, just like there are 10 levels of the soul of man, namely 3 elements of intellect and 7 elements of emotion. Kach, so too, hine, call Yisrael, the Jewish people, in Kol Moechad Shlema, the Jewish people are one big body. The Klolos Nishmatem and all of their souls, and Nikra Knesset Yisrael, that's what we call Knesset Yisrael, the gathering of the Jews. That is the source of the Jewish souls, Shenechleket, that is divided into 10 levels. Which according to Kabbalah, even God is divided into 10, so to speak, levels. And God is indivisible. I mean, God is, but nevertheless, God has a personality, and this personality is intellect, especially that's the Torah, and God's emotions, that's especially the commandments, positive commandments, negative commandments. So the Jewish people, that they're in the image of God, they're the sons of God, so they also have these 10 levels. Rosh Hashanah, mitalim kol madrigos, everything gets elevated, afilu michota vetzecha, even from the wood choppers until the shoev memecha, even the people that draw the water. You don't need much talent or how do you say, IQ or whatever they call it, aptitude to chop wood. You have to have some, but it's nothing like being a brain surgeon or a rabbi or something. You have to know what you're doing. She'em bechinos u'madregos tachtonos. These are the lowest, so to speak, levels of the Jews, the lowest echelons of the Jewish people. Liot, I'm just skipping the parentheses. Those were added in afterwards. Liot kulam mitalim lamayla b'makom chutzpah. They're all elevated. What happens over here? This is Judaism, right? So Judaism says that God creates the world. God creates the world. Judaism, the Bible says God created the world, but Judaism says no, God creates the world right now. There's nothing outside of God. Now you can say to yourself, come on, hasn't God got anything better to do than create all these little bugs and molecules and atoms and things like that? Maybe God created the first molecule, huh? And then he created the principles by which this molecule would divide and become this whole diversified world with all the angels and things like that. You could say that. You certainly could say that. Or you could say it happened on its own somehow or other. You could say anything you want to. But Jewish faith says what really was. This cannot be comprehended by intellect. God is not a thing. It's not an item in the world that you can wrap your intellect around it. We are being created by God. That's totally incomprehensible and unnecessary. What did God have to create us every second for? Why? He could just created us. If you want to be a religious person, take the narrative of the Bible. The Bible says God created the world, and that's it. And then he started talking to people. Adam let him down, so God said, "Where are you?" And then Noah let him. They say pleased God. Motzachen, and so God saved him, and then afterwards there was Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and all these people running around, and God speaks to them once in a while. So God has his realm, and we have our realm. What's wrong with that? Huh? So the answer to that, what's wrong with it, is it's not true. It's not true, and it opens the door for idolatry. Opens the door for idolatry. If you say that God is separate from the world, so how separate exactly is he? Huh? Maybe is so tremendously separate that he's inaccessible. Inaccessible. And once in a while, you pray and it sort of gets through to him, but God doesn't really care about, what all the little bugs do, and even doesn't even care what people do, doesn't care. Once in a while, he looks down, things get like really out of hand, or when God's bored or whatever, so he looks down and he he gives orders, he says to Abraham, Lech lecha, go on your land. Let's see what he does. Like little rats in a maze or something like that. This could well be. I mean, people certainly, no doubt about it, that this is the way that people, religious people included, act. But it's not so. It's not so. The fact of the matter is, and this is what Judaism comes to remind us, and what Hasidic Judaism comes to remind the rest of Judaism, what Chabad comes to remind the rest of the Hasidim, that in fact the world is being created every single instant brand new. In fact, time itself is a creation. And God is creating everything brand new. When did this whole idea of time and world begin? Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is when God decided he wanted to have time, he wanted to have a world, he wanted to have details. Right? The Torah tells us the details that was created on the second day, the third day, the fourth day, fifth day. Right? When God created all these things. So God created, that's just the narrative of Judaism. Take it or leave it. But if you take it, and especially saying that God creates us, then that makes a lot of problems. But on the other hand, it's true. No one says your life has to be easy. God made a very challenging world. And because he's creating everything constantly, so that means he's creating me constantly. So I could say that I'm better than everybody else, but the fact is God is creating you also constantly. And everybody is different from everybody else, everyone. And everyone has unique qualities, and on the other hand, everyone is the same, right? You can't kill a person, whether he's a smart person or can't kill people. Can't kill animals for no reason. And because every person is, you can say, because every person is unique. On the other hand, every person is the same. They're people. Every person is a person, no matter how useless he is, right? Rosh Hashanah is the beginning of the whole business. Rosh Hashanah is the birthday. A birthday. You have a kid in the class that has a birthday. Today is your birthday. They put a crown on him. They have, in religious Judaism, they don't blow out candles, but because you don't want to make less light. Right? Where that idea came from, blowing out the candles, I really don't get it. I guess I don't know. Anyway. So, I mean, I could understand you light a candle, make more light. Why do you have to? Anyway, so the Rosh Hashanah is the day when God decided to create the whole world. He finished creating the whole world. That's the day that man was created. On that day, God remembers the whole world. And that same kindness that God emanated when he created the world, that shines down on that day also. But there's mixed in a little bit of judgment. In other words, man is part of the creation. He's part of the decision that God makes to continue creating the world. Part of it. We become partners with God. God gave us the biggest gift that you can possibly give to a human being, and that is responsibility. Nothing worse than not having a responsibility. Grandpa is old. You don't even talk to him first. What do you want, Grandpa? What do you think Grandpa wants? He's sitting right there on the table. Right? Doesn't make any of his own decisions. No responsibility. Don't ask him. He doesn't know. He's out of his mind, right? You want another piece of cake? Don't. Your wife says, right? Don't ask him. He doesn't know. He doesn't know what he wants. Give him cake. He likes this. This is what he likes, right? There's no responsibility, no choices. God gave us the biggest gift in the world: responsibility, choices. Man has the power to choose. So it is every Rosh Hashanah we can choose to say, okay, God, I want to be partners with you. I want you to be king. That's Rosh Hashanah. All the Jews are standing in front of God. It's a Jewish thing. Even though they decide for the whole world. It says that God decides the whole world is being created. Every human being is precious in front of God. But for some reason, God picked the Jews to tell the whole world that exactly what I'm telling you now, that every human being is precious. With all the religions of the world, they don't think they're precious. They got these bizarre religions. There's one big religion that claims to replace Judaism and says, no one's precious, everyone is doomed. Unless you believe in some guy or some who knows what. Then you're doomed, you're going to burn in hell. This is a big lie. This is not so. Everyone is precious to God, everybody. If you make the wrong decisions and you mess the whole thing up totally and you don't regret it at all, so okay, then God said, listen, you were precious, but That's why it's so bad when people make the wrong decisions, because if a dog makes the wrong decisions, God doesn't care. Right? A human being, God cares. So making the right decision. But Jewish people are chosen. We're the chosen people. God chose us to tell the whole world how much God loves them, what amazing responsibility they've been given, and that's especially on Rosh Hashanah. That's what it means by Yeshurun. Yeshurun is the Jewish people. Melech, a king. Pitasef Rosh Hashanah. It's a sentence in what is Zot Bracha. Soon we'll see. We'll read it in Deuteronomy. When the heads of the people gathered, Yachad, together, all of the tribes of Israel, Pirish, Shekulam, all of the Jews gathered together to be one and unified. Ki, Ze'u Klal Gadol, this is a general principle, to call the Asim Esitra Kedusha, anything that comes in holiness, Hu Bebechinas Niut Sofa Betechila. What is holiness? Holiness means that it reveals the Creator. That's what holy is. Holy is something that reveals the Creator. That the end reveals the beginning. No, it's sofam b'techilasam. That the end has power to connect and to reveal the beginning. And also the other way around. In the beginning, when God created the world, this was inserted in the beginning, was the end product. Holiness means something that reveals God. If so, there's no head and there's no end. Agulim. This is a Kabbalistic term which is called agulim. Agulim means so all-encompassing. And it's drawn from a level of godliness which is called surrounding all the worlds. What does this mean, surrounding all the worlds? If we say, let's say man is better than a rock, a human being better than a rock, what's the question, right? Better than a rock. But the fact of the matter is that human beings, we have to walk on the ground. We need the ground. We need the ground. The ground grows up. Excuse me. Produce that we eat. The ground we need. So the ground in some ways is superior to man. In some ways, it's got something better than it. And the job of the Jewish people is to reveal this. When we reveal holiness, when we reveal God, that's the Holy Temple. The Holy Temple was just a bunch of bricks. Holy Temple, it was bricks. Why my bricks? It should have been made from some sort of, outer celestial or some miraculous stones that shine and whatever, they shoot out cosmic rays or something. No, it's just a regular building. And that's where God is revealed. The highest is revealed on the lowest, and the lowest reveals the highest potentially. That's what it means the Jewish people are holy. The Torah is holy. The land of Israel is holy. It means that we have the ability to reveal the Creator. The top is revealed in the bottom. And therefore, Omer Rizal, the rabbi say, therefore it says you should be humble. Do you know we learned this? You should be humble in front of everybody. Why? Because each and every human being has bechinus madrigas, has something that his friend does not have. But kulam and all of them, and everyone needs everyone else. How many people are in the world? 8 billion. Not enough. Every person has something that nobody else has. If there's 16 billion, then there's 16 billion different diversities. If there's only 8 billion, it means that 8 billion were missing. You have to have 8 billion more. Now there's 16, that covers the whole thing, right? No. If there's 16 billion more, then that means now we've got 32 billion facets and differences and uniquenesses and aspects of God. And you have to be humble. You can learn from everybody. So comes out Yisrael and Maila, that there's some sort of a good thing in each and every one. Each person is higher than everybody else. And everybody needs that one person. Like a person, that he is hot, a person that is, what he is, standing up. Balkoma, he's a, what is it? Must be a word. An edifice. Huh? Good word. There's a top and a bottom. Rosh Avaraglo, a top and a bottom, feet and head and feet. Shagam Raglaim, also the feet. Haimso from Madrigos, there's the lowest level of a person. Rosh, and the head is the top. And the head is much better than the feet. Huh? Maybe the reflexology people might take up an issue with this, but the fact is that the head has in it eyes, two of them, and the feet does not have eyes. And the head has ears. Ever notice? The head has a brain. Feet has none of the above. Nevertheless, in some ways, the feet are better than the head. Why? You need them in order to walk. And also, they stand up the body and the head. If a person has something wrong with his head, let's say has a headache, sometimes they'll take blood from the feet. Now they don't take blood anymore. They give him a shot, all right, in his foot. Now the reflexologists people will be very happy because the fact is you can, manipulate the feet, massage the feet, and it affects the whole body. So the feet have something good. The head will receive energy from the feet. Nimsa comes out. The head is not complete without the feet. You ever go to Bangkok? There's nothing really that special over there, but I'll tell you, maybe the most special thing over there is you go to Bangkok and you see that there's these lounge chairs in the street. Who knows, 100, 200 of them. Foot massages. You get your foot massaged. Then there's special, clinics with a special foot massage. You get the deep foot massage and the in-foot massage. Anyway, foot massage, they massage your feet. And really, of course I did it. I wanted this. I had a foot massage. I had a man do it. I didn't want a woman to. There's men foot massages also. And you feel good. You think better. Your feet affect the head. Kach, Kol Yisrael, the Jewish people, Kol Machat Shalem are one big edifice, one big body. The Nimsa so comes out. Even that a person that thinks in his mind that he is the head and he is better than everybody else, and even if he really is, right? Moshe Rabbeinu, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, the highest of the highest, no one can be higher. Nevertheless, he is not complete without Chabero, without everybody else. And something is lacking in his soul. That others complete him. By means of this, batal b'shafal. There, by means of this, you will be harmonious and humble spirit. Legabi chavero, regarding everybody else. You won't wipe anybody else totally. But it could be that I'm smarter than this other person, I'm more talented than this other person, I've done more good deeds than this other person, this guy's a criminal, who knows what, right? But the fact of the matter is, in some way, some one detail, and it could be a very, very essential detail, and here's what the Rebbe is saying, that every detail is essential, that this person is better than me. Therefore, I have to respect everybody, and I have to be humble to everybody, because I don't know what this point is, what is a special thing in everybody. That's why it's such a terrible thing. I don't want to throw in political issues, but this is not political. This is a Torah. Why abortion is not a good thing. I mean, if you have to do it, sometimes it's necessary. Sometimes it's a necessary thing, but only under extenuating circumstances. It's not a good thing. War is not a good thing. Sometimes it's necessary. Sometimes it's a necessary thing, but generally speaking, it's not good. Why? Because people get killed. Even in Jewish wars, there are only a very strange, unique situations you kill everybody. Right? It says, Amalek, you have to kill everybody. But these are things that only Mashiach will tell us what to do. You can't do it on your own. Don't say, my next door neighbor drives over my lawn, so this is Amalek, this is it. Everyone, even the next door neighbor who drives over your lawn and curses you out, and he's not Jewish, and he has something that you don't have, you're lacking. Therefore, you should be humble in front of everybody. We believe that there is really no head and And ba'al yedei bidlazu, by means of this, is achtu la'sharash yechudo, you will be unified, and then the vessel will be complete. There will be a revelation of God. Shemisitra, the kedusha of holiness, bali rosh v'sof. Then we'll see that the same God that's creating me is creating stones and ants and all sorts of spiders and things like that. Right? Everything is being created by the same God, one God. So you can learn from everything, and especially you can learn from everyone. I don't know how you can learn from every spider. Personally, I don't like spiders. Masha Enkin, which is not the case me. A person that considers this in his mind, Nifra, that he's separate, that he's better and he's separate from other people, but also Rosh Vasof, and he makes the head and the foot different. Harihu, Nofel Ba'alma, he falls into the world of pruda, of separation. And that is called Sitra Achra. The secret of God is that God is one. One means that nothing is separate from God. God is creating everything. Everything is being created by God. Separating things from God, that's the source of evil, source of bad, separation. Of course, according to the Torah, you have to separate certain things, but it doesn't mean you're really separating them. You're just putting everything in its right place, right? Like a human being, you don't put the eyeball, you don't make an eye transplant into the toe. The guy decides he wants to have his eye in his toe, wants to see what's going on down there in his shoes, huh? So he's a little bit suspicious. What's going on under my shoes? Let me put an eye. Nobody does a thing like that. The eye, place of the eye is in your head. But that doesn't mean you're making separation. That's called making unity. Everything has a special job. But on the other end, everything is, my body is part of me. Hine, but Rosh Hashanah, the head of the year, Hu bechinas teshuva. Rosh Hashanah, everything goes back, returns. Sheklalos neshamas Israel. All of the souls teshuvenu, they go back to their source. It's like you get a puzzle that has, let's say, a 20 million piece puzzle. You buy this big box, 20 million piece puzzle. And you start to make the puzzle, but every once in a while, you look at on the box, there's a big picture, right? So you look back at the picture that's on the thing. That's called tshuva, return. You return to the original picture, what it is. Right? Then you see all the pieces. Oh, I see this piece must go over here. It's red, so that must go over here. That's the top of the barn. Mm-hmm. You fix it. Every person has their own place in the puzzle. And that's what's called tshuva. Tshuva means that you look and you see, what is my place here in the world? What does God want me to do? Right? To be part of the puzzle. That's Rosh Hashanah. All of a sudden, everything falls together. And you can put yourself into the proper place. This is Rosh Hashanah. That's what it means when the heads of people are gathered together. The pruda, they are gathered together from the world of separation. That they fell. Because people all of a sudden their thoughts think, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and maybe I won't do the commandments, maybe I'll do a couple of the commandments, that. Everything all of a sudden they become separated from the big picture. And it becomes what's called an individual, right? Like in a big, huge orchestra. You have there's some pieces that they have like a 500-piece orchestra, right? And one guy in the orchestra says, what am I sitting here playing the same thing with everybody else? My mother is sitting out there. I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to do my own thing. And he plays his own whatever he wants to, and everybody's looking at him, and his mother says he got what he wanted, right? The only thing is he wrecked up the whole entire business. The same exact thing is Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah, all of a sudden, God says, hey, what are you doing? Why are you playing your own tune? First of all, this thing, it sounds terrible. Nobody enjoys it. You play your part. You'll enjoy it. You'll have a good job. You can do what you want. If you want to play what you want, so I don't have to find somebody to pay him $1,000 to sit here. I can take any person from the street that doesn't know how to play the piccolo or whatever it is, and he can just sit here and scream. You're doing the same thing. Do what you're supposed to do. We have the Torah. The Torah tells you what to do. Okay, you messed everything up to now. Forget about that. You're important. Let's get it together. That's Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah means everybody stops pretending that he's the king of the universe, and everybody unites with the king of the universe to play harmoniously the same song. This is in a general way, but in a specific way, that's why are we talking about this? The Seven Kuchim, that's this week's Torah portion. You are standing, all of you together. That's in a general. We just talked about a general way. Wonderful, all the Jewish people and everything. What about individually? What should I do? What should I do? This in general. Yes, we do tshuva. We turn back to the source. What about me? What am I supposed to do? Let's go back to the first paragraph. Let's talk about generalities. That's a little bit more sort of user friendly. Just 1 second. That was good. The general. Now let's get down to details. Okay, I have to do tshuva. What does it mean doing tshuva? What is this thing of tshuva? And why is Rosh Hashanah the special day? Bira Katuva means afterwards brit. The next second sentence, right after the second sentence in this week's Torah portion, is that you are all standing today. That's the first sentence, right? The first sentence. The beginning of the sentences. You are standing today, all these different types of Jews, from the heads of the tribes until the water drawers. Why brit? To make you, pass you through the covenant. We talked about this a lot. Remember last week. Also, there was in Likuti Torah also. A brit, in Judaism, a brit, they remove the foreskin. That's part of it. That, if you want to call it, is the negative part. Removing the foreskin. Inyan is kamola mashal shtei oavim, two people who love each other, good friends. Shekorti and brit b'neiam, that they make a covenant between them. Shalot tavsok avosam, that their love should not stop. She'ilu haya wadavar telu yabo. Because if the reason that they loved each other and that they were friends would always be there, they wouldn't have to have any covenant between them. Because they're afraid. Maybe it will stop. And then the love will stop. Maybe something from the outside will stop. But you have two business partners, friends from birth. They grew up together, they're two business partners, and they're good friends, best friends. And suddenly they read in the paper that there were two good friends from birth, just like they were before, and they had a big argument, and one of them shot the other one. Oh, they read this in the newspaper. They say, yeah, but they probably weren't good friends like us. And it says over there they were good, they were the best of friends, and they grew up together, they fought, and they were in the Marines together, and they saved each other's lives and everything like that. But something happened, and one got angry. So I said, what can we do? What's the antidote to something like that? It's people that had such deep love that they can all of a sudden become enemies. What do we do? So he says, I'll tell you what they go to the rabbi. The rabbi says, make a brit, make a covenant. I don't know if we do such a things like this anymore, but nevertheless, make a brit. A brit means a covenant, an agreement, an eternal agreement. An eternal agreement so that no matter what happens, nothing will move us from, if there's such a thing between people, nowadays, everything goes between people. Two brothers, a brother and a son, people turn on each other. But with God and the Jews, not. God made a covenant with the Jews. And this covenant is no matter what the Jews do, no matter what the Jews say or think of this, God always loves the Jews. A Jew can do the worst sins. He can become the Pope. He can do whatever he wants, the worst idolatry, sins. He can do whatever, and do all the sins that the Pope is doing. All of the worst, terrible idolatries and whatever it is. And God loves him. A Jew. God has a covenant with the Jewish people. God destroyed the first temple, destroyed the second temple. The Jews deserved it, the first temple, the second temple, but he did not destroy the Jews, even though they deserved that also. But God said, no, Forget, I made a covenant. By means of this covenant, then the love will be eternal love. It will never move. Nothing can ever remove this love from outside or inside. Hainu, because because they make this tremendous, deep agreement, covenant, unity. That they will be attached, but kesher nifla, which is in a tremendously deep, above any sort of logic or reason. That even though according to logic or reason, the love should stop, or even worse, to cause them to hate each other. Nevertheless, because they made this covenant, their love will be forever. Like it says, on all sins, on all transgressions. It will cover love. As though they are made one. So let's take the example that we have two friends, good friends, bosom friends, and they fought in the war together. They saved each other's lives. They did all sorts of good things. And they read that there were two similar friends, and they got angry at each other and they separated. So he said, "Listen, we're good friends, right?" He said, "What's the question? Let's make a covenant." Listen, Joe, we don't have to make a covenant. I mean, I'd give my life for you, you'd give your life for me. That's 100% sure. He says, yeah, maybe you'd give your life for me, but maybe you wouldn't give your money. Who knows what, right? Sometimes, no, what are you talking about? All of a sudden, one of them, like, you ever read? It's not such a good thing to bring the proof from this. I can't think of a better proof offhand. You ever read the play Othello? Othello. Shakespeare was a big genius. So there's this fellow. He's Othello. He's like a war hero, a tremendous hero, and he marries this beautiful girl that he loves, and they're very much in love. But there's somebody is jealous, and he starts telling him, this Othello guy, that his wife is cheating on him. And even though he loves her and he does, but little by little it eats away inside of him until finally he kills her. Then he kills him and he kills everybody gets killed. But the idea is that even though these people made a deep commitment to one another and they love each other and etc., but external forces can dissipate this love. And so people make a covenant. And what's the covenant? The covenant is, let's look in each other's eyes, remember this moment, how much we love each other unconditionally, right? If I hear you're doing bad things or whatever, I know the reason is because you went temporarily insane, or there's some sort of a reason, or someone is tricking you, or someone is whatever it is. But the love is always there. I'm always going to find an excuse to make an excuse for the bad things you do, because the love that's the big motivating factor. That's the bridge. Well, God made something like that with us. No matter what we do, God said the reason the Jews are acting like this is because they're temporarily insane. I love them unconditionally. So just like a person can never stop loving himself, also he won't be able to stop loving the other person. And therefore it's called kritat brit. Therefore it's called cutting a covenant. Shirkortu at the Egel. Abraham made a covenant with God. Look in the Lech Lecha over there. So God makes this covenant with Abraham. He made a couple of them. Later on, he makes the covenant with circumcision. But before that, he makes another covenant. The first covenant he makes with Abraham. And the covenant is that God tells Abraham to take these different kosher animals and slaughter them and cut them in two, and put one on one side of the road and the other on the other side of the path, whatever. And then God, so to speak, and Abraham passed between them. God's presence is Shekhinah, whatever it is. Anyway, God pressed. Look over there and you'll see. They passed between them. As to say that the same way that this animal is not complete, one with the other, and separating him is the opposite of life. Same thing as me and you. Me and you are linked together forever. We're not complete one without the other. That's what it means that they separated the Egil, Kortu at the Egil, the Yavru Bein Betarov. It's called the Brit Bein Betarim, the covenant between the pieces. And they pass between these pieces. In other words, Liot Shneim Ovrim Betoch Guf Echad, we are really passing through one body and we are unified. Just like this, but a calf or whatever is one only when it's one. Is it alive? It's really one thing. Same with me and you. We're only really alive when we're one, unified. All this is what God did. God did to us. The Kasiv that says, "Anochi kares bris." I'm making a covenant. Neged kol amcha aseni float. That was the covenant God made with us at Mount Sinai, and God now is making the second covenant. That's what it's been talking about the last few chapters we've learned in the Torah. Perish l'maylam minatamadat. This is above any sort of logic. Kamosha Omer, like King David said to Yonatan. King David, very touching story. King David was officially the king. He had been crowned by Samuel the prophet, but in secret. And Shaul, King Saul, he was officially the king. And he wasn't deposed yet. And King Saul sensed something was wrong, and he hated David. King Saul had a son. The son was Yonatan. David and Yonatan were best friends. They were best friends. Their love was an incredible love. It says more than a man and a wife. Their love was very deep. And they made a covenant between them. I don't think that they cut anything and they moved it, but nevertheless they did. Is David and Yonatan niflat ahavat, a tremendously deep love. To the point that Yonatan, even when his father was planning to kill David, so Yonatan went in secret and he told him the whole thing was shooting the arrows, and that's what we read on on Shabbat when the next day is Rosh Chodesh. And so this God made the same type of a covenant with us, but much deeper, because by means of the 13 attributes of mercy, Moses drew down. Then Moses drew down. What is this covenant? Let's just get this into proper perspective. God took the Jews out of Egypt. He gave them the Torah, did all sorts of miracles. And 40 days after God gave the Torah to the Jews, and all the Jews heard God say, don't worship any other God except for the one that took you out of Egypt and is creating the world. Don't do it. And the Jewish people said, oh, for sure, God, we're only going to worship you. 40 days later, they worshiped the golden calf, some actively, some passively. They worshiped the golden calf. I mean, that's the worst you can get. You can't get any worse than that. Here, God is creating them, and He's taking them out of Egypt and feeding them manna from heaven. Right? And they saw God, they heard God face to face, and nevertheless, they did exactly what God told them not to do. So God said, okay, Moses, listen, I'm not going to wipe out the Jewish people. You're going to be the Jewish people, and they're going to come from you. But all the rest, turn your back. I don't want you to see this. What I'm going to do, right? And so Moses said, don't do it. Don't do it, God. Don't kill the Jewish people, right? Hanichali, God said, leave me alone. Vashmideim, and I'll wipe them all out. And Moses said, don't do it. And Moses started to pray to God and everything. And God said, okay, I'll forgive you. I'll forgive the Jewish people. I won't come. But you're going to see it's going to be trouble for you. But okay, I won't. I mean, I never intended to wipe out the Jewish people. Just these guys. You'll be the Jewish people. Moses said, I know. I heard what you had to say. I'm not in for it. I don't want to do it. But listen, I got a big problem. The Jewish people are going to make trouble again, right? God said, oh, you have no idea how much. Okay, I want a prayer to pray so that I can wake up this love that you have for the Jewish people. You love the Jewish people, right? Come on. God said, oh, okay, yeah, you're right. I love them. I love the Jewish people. I was really hoping you would pray for them. I love them. So I want a reminder of this love that you have for the Jewish people. Please give me some sort of a short prayer that I can arouse the inner love that you. God said, okay, I'll give you the 13 attributes of mercy. Look, it's in Parshas Kitisa, in the book of Exodus. God said, okay, I'll give you the 13 attributes of mercy. That's the 13 attributes of mercy that Moses drew down. Nasa Kivyachal, this made a covenant, v'tkashrut, and a attachment of God with the Jewish people to arouse this love. V'salachta, that God will forgive us. Shelo yavonoteichem mavdilin, so that the sins of the Jews will not separate between God and the Jews. Ki chelek Hashem amo, because a portion of God is His people. The Jewish people are one with God. And tomorrow we'll talk about this more, God willing. Now let's do the Dvar Malchut.